Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Mikkel and welcome to another episode of Get Tones. In today's episode, I want to talk about compressors. Compressors are an essential tool in the music industry and are used in both the recording as well as the performance side. Compressors are used on almost everything, whether it be vocals, drums, guitar, and are even used on macro scales such as mixing and mastering. There are multiple different types of compressors and come with many different names. These can include dynamic compressors, sustainers, limiters, multi-band compressors, and it can also be referred to as VCAs, FETs, and opti compressors. Compressors are often split into two distinct stages: an amplifier stage and an envelope filter stage that will detect peaks in the signal. When the filter detects a peak in the signal, it will generate a voltage signal to be sent back into the amplifier stage that would either boost or reduce the amount of gain in the system for a set period of time at a set speed. Now, the parameters often with compressors are threshold, attack, release, and ratio, and I will be demonstrating what these are later on in the video. Compressors also offer variations in tone depending on their hardware modifications, so when people refer to them as VCAs versus FETs versus optis, it often refers to just the tonal output based off the hardware that is used to create them. For today's video, I'm going to be going over a schematic for a compressor pedal, MXR's Dyna compressor. Let's get started. Alright, so now I have the schematic open and I actually got this off electrosmash.com. So this compressor is broken down into two main stages like I discussed earlier, an amplifier stage and a filter. So in the amplifier stage, this compressor pedal features a differential op amp that will take the input signal into the negative port and then also have it trimmed down and added up with the voltage signal that's coming out of the filter. So I'm going to start from the filter and then work my way back to explain how it works. So the audio signal is going to come here into this parallel network. Basically, the signal is going to be split into two, and then in the bottom branch here, the negative part is going to be flipped so it becomes positive, and this is just going to be the normal filter. From there, it's going to pass a low pass filter, and then from there, the negative part is going to be cut off with these diodes. So basically, this whole network is just going to take the absolute value and then average out the signal. From there, it's going to pass to this capacitor, which is going to drain all the AC voltage and just basically turn it into a DC voltage signal. From there, it's going to go to this transistor and then be fed through the sensitivity pod back into the differential op amp. And basically, this is just to increase or reduce the threshold as well as reduce the compression that's going to take place because it's a very simple pedal. From there, then this differential is going to compare the input with the input sum with the voltage signal, and based on that difference will determine the output. So when it detects peaks, it's going to send a high signal and it's going to show very little difference between the input and the input sum with the voltage signal and then reduce the gain of the signal output. From there, it's just going to then be sent into this output jack. So it's pretty simple. Basically, compressors just try to see a peak, and then from that peak, they're going to try to immediately reduce the gain of the following signal. Now, it's not often immediate, so you're going to see a small peak, whether it's either millisecond or 2 milliseconds, but you will then see the compression effect starting to take place, and that's also dependent on the attack. Now, this doesn't have a variable attack, so it's often just set. So with that, I'm actually going to show you more in depth of how compression works on stems. Okay, so now that I have Logic Pro open, I'm going to show you what I have. So right now I have a drum track as well as a guitar track. And let me just press play. Okay, so first I'm going to show how compression affects the drum track. So right now I have my compressor, it's off and bypass. I'm going to show directly what it does visually. So let me just zoom in here on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to first just run with the stock Logic plugin. I'm going to run some compression. Let's see here, stereo. So I'm going to just use the Studio VCA. Alright, so I'm just going to run through the parameters real quick, and then from there I'm going to do some demonstration. So the first parameter we have is the threshold, and that's just going to determine the peak where the compression is going to start. So lower threshold means that more of the signal is going to get compressed, and the higher threshold means less of it. So if you have a pretty high threshold, from there you're just going to try to compress the peaks. The ratio determines the amount of compression that will be occurring, and it'll be based off the peak to the rest of the signal. So a higher ratio just means that the signal will be more compressed. The attack determines how fast it will take for the compression to take effect, and then the release will determine how long the compression is going to happen for. And then this makeup gain is going to boost the signal after it gets compressed. So let's see here. Okay. So we have some peaks here, as you can see, there, and there. So I'm just gonna do some basic compression. I'm just gonna add a normal threshold, kind of like a 4-to-1 ratio, somewhat medium attack, 50 millisecond release, no makeup gain for this one. All right, and let's see what happens. So compared before, you see the signal here gets reduced. So at this point, it's going to be cutting off the peaks, and let's hear what it does. So this is before. Do it again. After. Alright, so you can hear that through this basic compression, you're gonna get a little bit more of the punch. It's gonna even out the body of the drums a bit, since you're gonna be compressing the peak and kind of applying it to the rest of the signal. Now I do have the makeup gain off, so let's see what happens when we add some makeup gain to it. Okay. So from there, instead of cutting down, it's gonna be boosting the signal after it gets a threshold. And let me zoom in even more. See here, see that, and then going back to it. See, now the signal is going to be a little bit more boosted after, and then let's hear the difference. Now you hear more of the punch coming from the snare. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to start increasing the threshold, as well as show you what happens when you do extreme compression on the signal. So first I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to lower the threshold down to 40. Let me zoom out so you can see. So now I'm going to apply. So now you can see, oh, forgot to reduce the gain. So I want to cut down the gain to 0. There's going to be no makeup gain. Now as you can see, more of the signal is going to be reduced. Let me just do this again so you can see better. So this is the normal signal, and then you see it becomes a lot lower because more of the signal passes that threshold. But there's still a set period where the attack hasn't began. So because of that, not all the signal is going to be compressed. You're still going to have a lot of that peak based off this attack. So let's hear the difference. Let's do it again. So it definitely sounds a little bit weaker, and it's mainly because of the makeup gain. So let's see what happens if I throw a fast attack and fast release. So now the signal looks like it's really cut down because of the attack. You're going to get less peaks, and let's hear what it sounds like. So it stops sounding sharp, and it sounds a little bit more fuller. And then let me show you what happens when I increase the release. So it takes a long time for the compression to stop. Alright, so let's say if I want to apply heavy compression, but then I want to boost the signal, and you would normally use this for vocals. I'm just going to apply some heavy makeup gain. And let me just return this release back to normal. I'm going to put this attack to here. And let's apply. Let's put a little bit more gain. There we go. So now it sounds like it has a little bit more body. So let me show you what the compression would do to the guitar, as some people use compression just to affect the tone. So this is a guitar track itself. Alright, so I'm going to use a different compressor for this example. I'm going to use the C1 from Waves. So this is more what you would see in a lot of plugins. This is more digital version of what you would see as compressor. So I'm going to apply a threshold, maybe around 20-40, ratio about 3, attack, maybe 2 release, something like that. Let's get some makeup gain in there. Or what you could do is boost the output. Depends what you like. Okay, so let's see what this would do to a guitar signal. Okay, so just to show, you can see that here these signals are going to start evening out with these giant blocks, whereas before these signals were cut a lot shorter. So it's basically just evening out the signal. And then let me show you. So basically when you apply the compression, you're going to be hearing more of the strumming. It's going to show a lot more of the picking attack because that's some of the lower sounds. So basically the point with the compression in most instruments is that you want to reduce what is a lot of the louder parts of the sound and then bring up some of the more softer parts so it sounds a little bit more balanced out. And again, that's great for vocals when you apply heavy compression. So let's see how it would be applied through a guitar pedal. So I actually have a signal already pre-processed. So this is running through the MXR Dyna compressor pedal, and let's see how it sounds like. It's normally how people would apply compressor pedals to get that kind of sparkling tone. So let me play it again. Has that clanky type of tone, and this is what the original tone was. Let's do it one more time. Alright, yep, that's all I wanted to show you. That's it for today's video. I really just wanted to cover the basics of compressors. I will be eventually releasing a follow-up video comparing limiters, which are a type of compressor, versus your standard compressors. Now, if you have any questions regarding compressors, hardware, need any tips on mixing or mastering, or even want gear recommendations, be sure to leave a comment in the section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to stay safe out there, and have a great day.